Hello, dear friends. How are you? I hope you are in the best condition. Today I came back to you with a story up my sleeve that is a story and a lesson. And today, our story is a new story. Hope you enjoy it. Did you like our story today? The Return of the Prodigal Son. Once upon a time, long ago, the era and the times, there was a boy named Jack. He became very distressed in his village because of his father's cruelty to him, who scolded him every day and blamed him for his behavior. His negligence in his time, which he was wasting in useless amusement, was a Jack. Late and does not wake up until the sun is almost noon, so he eats his food alone without to meet with his parents at the dinner table and then go on his way. Looking for companions to go with the rest of the day, was not busy with anything, and his father was in dire need of his help. So he advised him. Every now and then, he comes to his senses and urges him to avoid all these effects and amusement that are devoid of any benefit, and to prepare himself to bear responsibility in the future, as he should do as an ambitious man. At his age, this discussion between Jack and his father became a daily habit that he found a reason for. His life is disturbed by him, and he does not regain his energy and mood. Only after he spends a long time with his friends does he leave the house without caring about what is happening, or why his father suffered from exhaustion in cultivating the land, which was their only source of livelihood. But his mother was lost. With her cleverness and naivety, she tries every day to destroy the obstacle that every discussion in the soul of her son and husband left him. So she calms down the husband whenever he complains about his son in anger, and tells him that God is able to restore him for the right path, and he must insist on praying for him and refrain from being harsh towards him, so that he does not become his advice. Jack had no effect, and when the son returned to her complaining about his father's cruelty, she would tell him that his father did. That was out of fear for him, and in the hope that he would attain more goodness than what he had achieved. Jack was mocking him. Her words, and he tells her that his father cannot stand seeing him and wishes he had never had him, so his mother swears to him. With the utmost faith that this is not true, she asks him to never return to that conversation one day. While Jack was about to leave the house in the middle of the day, he passed his father in the field without saying anything greeted him. He was aware that doing so was wrong, but he was trying to avoid waking up his blame. The man who is a harsh advisor, and whom his father turns to whenever he meets him, he thought it would be a good idea not to meet him. The greeting would avoid his father asking him where he was going, and he feared that he would waste his day dealing with what everyone was saying. A conversation was brewing between them, as he would lose his moments of fun with his companions, and he went on, turning his back to his father, who, as soon as he saw him, his heart revolted. He was surprised that his son passed by without greeting him, so he called him in a voice. Nimmer was deeply affected and hurt by this disgraceful behavior in his heart, even if the son had not. He was still a young child when he turned to the matter and did not pay all this attention to him, but that their son should reach his age. After 20 years, he treats his father in this way, so that is a no-no. Jack stopped as soon as he heard his father's call, and he sensed intense anger in him. He turned around and wanted to. He tried to justify his action by forgetfulness, but he refrained as soon as he saw one of his companions coming from the place and saw the father. His silence was his insistence on his shameful act. So he rebuked him strongly, blaming him and reminding him of what he suffers in this vast field to feed him. He told him that if he helped him work, he would earn money. It does not replace any other work. Jack's poetry. His father was kind to him, and he responded by telling him that field work does not appeal to him, and someone like him would not be satisfied to work as a farmer covered in dust from the ground. He drowns in sweat that makes his noses wet as he stays under its rays. The sun is on all day long, and he cannot wait for the crops to ripen, so he can get food from them. The father felt that his son was insulting him, so he was quick to respond to him. So he sent his tongue at him with words that reached deep into him, Jack's heart. He said to him, "If you were a true man, my son, and as generous as you claim, you would not eat food. I spend my energy planting it on this good land that despises its kindness so much. You walk away. I miss you." As soon as Jack heard those words, the place was silent, and he could not find anything. He did not respond to his father, but intense anger settled in his heart as he saw at that moment that one of his companions. He was approaching behind his father and heard those words. He felt that his father despised him in front of his companion, so he left in a hurry, leaving his father to call for him. And as soon as he noticed, the father was his friend, until he realized what his tongue had done to his son, and knew that those words would not come to his mind. It will never be easy for the son to go home, broken and sad. He exhaled hot breaths, as if he was seeking revenge. He entered his room and leaned against the door, dealing with the anguish he was experiencing. He felt pain after he told his mother about what his father had done to him, and after his father returned home, until he went towards him and complained to him about what he had done to himself. The father apologized to him for what had happened. Distancing himself from himself, he accused him of intentionally spoiling him in front of his companion, etc. Darkness prevailed until the son carried a bag over his back, containing some of his clothes, and left the house, leaving. The mother is distressed and crying, and his father is still angry with him. He thought he was stubborn and desperate to persuade. The father said that the boy would return before morning when he realized his mistake, but he felt remorse and sorrow for his loss. He felt what his words had caused in his son's soul, and after he spent half his day in the field, he came to investigate the house, brought back the disobedient son, or is he still stubborn? And when he learned that he no longer waited for me to accept. In the evening, he went to inquire about him with his companions, and went to where he met them every day, and asked whoever he found about him. Some of them there went around the houses of the village asking about him. He was surprised that his son had disappeared, without leaving a trace behind him. The father, despite his grief, did not know what to tell the mother, who was distressed by the absence of her son. She is worried, and hopes only for his return. But Jack is gone, and himself begs him to go away to where he is not. He hears something about his father, and since his father cannot reach him, he misses the moments of his day, motivated by the feeling of anger that filled him with his father. He sought obstinately and hastily, determined to reaching the farthest spot from the farm, and full of hope that his action had a profound impact on his father, and he felt sorry for what he had done to him. He realizes that his mother will be sad too, but he sees her sadness as a punishment for his father, who will be blamed for it. Keeping him away from them eased his feeling of sadness towards his mother. He wanted to punish his father for this. He insisted on disturbing his forgetful moments, and he said to himself mockingly, saying, "What a miserable man he wants to be." He became as miserable as he was. What good could come from working the land other than fatigue and misery? San arrived a few days later. During the journey, he begged for food and water from everyone he encountered. Some of them got it, and others rebuked him. We were astonished that he begged for food while he was at work, so much so that he did not care that he collapsed and did not stop begging food. And he continued his walk away until he reached a coastal city, and there he inhaled. He sighed as he felt that he had gotten far enough. He thought his father would not find him among these hordes of people, even if he reached the city looking for him. It was his father. The poor man follows him, following a path he thinks his son has taken. So he inquires about him in every town he reaches. Then he finds news about him that increases his humiliation when people find out that that beggar is his son, so he belittles him. He did not raise him as a father should have raised his son, and he became tired of contempt and submission to people. He realized that he had left his sad wife behind him while she was waiting for their return. He returned home without being guided to his son. He calmed the mother down and told her that he would return soon and would not be absent. Jack remained in the city, living on what he received from the people, begging for food as usual. When no one honors him and hunger disturbs his comfort, he goes to the port after being guided there by some of his friends. He was out of his mind as soon as the workers finished loading the ship with what it would transport from the port. The city transferred goods to other ports, and the captain directed him to all the sailors on board. It is necessary for each one of them to commit to his mission, for which he boarded that ship. He reminded them of what they may be exposed to dangers that could kill all of them if they fail to avoid them, and they are just that. Moments later, the captain ordered the men to raise the anchors. To set off, everyone cooperated as they turned the pulley, around which a thick rope was wrapped. In slow motion, Isa heard a Jack. For the first time, he met me. He left himself in a state of confusion that appeared on his face and made the sailors wonder at his hesitation in helping them. Completing a task originally assigned to him after a period of neglect, the sailors ordered it after Jack pleaded that he was seasick. He told them that he had not sailed for a whole year, but they did not pay much attention to the matter, and the ship moved on. The sea was billowing, and I headed on a path that could not guide Jack to his destination, and it was not long before he reached his destination. Any signs indicating the presence of land disappear behind each. This is the water that sways the ship as the ship advances. Forward it was. The waves are getting higher, and with them, Jack's seasickness is getting worse. The sea's suspicion of disbelieving what befell it took away the moment the anchors were raised, and things became more intense with sunset. Now, my friends here, we stop today with the hope of meeting in the next part. I wonder what events await us. So, to receive all new updates, do not forget to subscribe to the channel.